Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen wal aqibatu lil muttaqeen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulih Muhammadin wa alihi wa ashabihi ajma'in. Amma ba'dun fa'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. من يطيع الرسول فقد أطاع الله صدق الله العظيم وصدق رسوله النبي الكريم إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما اللهم صل وسلم على سيدنا ومولانا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا ومولانا محمد وبارك وسلم وصل عليه. All praises of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the creator, controller of this entire universe. May the choicest blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala be upon our Nabi, Nabiullah, Habibullah, Sarkar Madina, Ruh Hasina, Nabi Kareem, Ra'ufur Rahim, Rahmatan lil Alameen, Sayyidul Mursaleen, Khatam al-Nabiyyin, Imamul Anbiya, Ahmad Mujtaba, Muhammad Arbi, Muhammadur Rasulullah, Sallallahu Ta'ala alayhi wa alihi wa sahbihi wa barik wa sallim. Elders, youngers, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuhu.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
Alhamdulillah, as you are aware, this is the month of Jashn-e-Eid Milad Mustafa Sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And ulama say that if it wasn't for this month of Milad Mustafa Sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, we wouldn't have none of these azim months in the year of the Islamic calendar. And therefore this month is the greatest of all months, for it was the month we received Rasulullah Sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. This week, something has come to my attention. A number of people have forwarded me a poster which has been designed by an organization who recognize themselves as Al-Manhaj in Kenya. Now, in this poster, there's details about a Mawlid quiz, a Mawlid contest. And it has questions in there which are very cleverly worded, with great trickery in my opinion. And they are designed to confuse the average layman. They are designed to confuse them and make them doubt in the celebration of Jashn-e-Eid Milad Mustafa Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. And I thought it was very important for me to address this subject today, inshallah ta'ala aziz. And the reason for this is, and the primary reason for addressing this, is because it has to do with the namus of Sayyidina Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. We should be equipped in this respect, and we should know the Quran and the Sunnah, and I'll go through the various questions that come in this quiz, inshallah, and we will answer them today through the Quran and the Sunnah. मैं छोटा हूँ मगर बोल बड़े बोल रहा हूँ तौसीफ़े मुस्तफ़ा में ज़ुबान खोल रहा हूँ. If this was something concerning me, अगर ये मेरी बात होती या मेरे आबा और अजदा की बात होती तो मैं इस पर मज़ीद तबसरा नहीं करता, लेकिन ये मेरे बाप दादे की बात नहीं है, ये फातिमा तो ज़हरा के बाबे की बात है. This is the baat of Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, the center to creation, the reason for creation, and therefore to address these issues, it is of advanced importance, inshallah ta'ala aziz. One thing I must explain to you, when it comes to the question of Mawlid al-Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam and its permissibility, the first thing, I won't get too technical, because really, to explain this properly, I need a couple of hours. To explain to you the concept of bid'ah, the institution of bid'ah, the shirk, the rules behind it, what the ulama say in light of the roshni of the Quran and the Sunnah. This is a very long topic. But in simple terms, just to equip you with enough information so somebody can't on the street bring you to shame in this respect. I will give you a few rules, inshallah ta'ala aziz. Now, first thing, we must understand, our sharia, the legal system, is very, very vast. And the legal system is not limited or restricted in ways that these questions are being put to us about Mawlid al-Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. For all ibadat, there is a concept of the ibadat, and then there is a format, how that ibadat should be done. For example, the concept of Hajj, this is qat'an in the Quran Kareem. This is fard, right? It's from the faridatun min Allah, Hajj. The concept is in the Quran Kareem, yes? It's in the Quran Kareem. Now this ibadat of Hajj has a format. Allah prescribes a format for it. These are the arkan of Hajj. These are what you need to follow to implement the rites and the arkan and the pillars of Hajj. For example, it is fard on the 9th of Zulhijjah for you to attend Arafah. Is that right?
Yeah.
It's fard for you to attend that. You know, if you go to Makkah Mukarramah and on the 9th of Zulhijjah you don't turn up to Arafah, you can't then say that I'm a Haji or she's a Hajjah. You can't say this because you've not completed the rites of fard. The fard rites of Hajj, the arkan of Hajj, you've not completed it. So you went there, you went to Makkah Mukarramah, you said you was going to participate in the concept of Hajj, but you didn't complete Hajj because you didn't complete the format. If you left a sunnah of Hajj, if you left one of the non-obligatory parts of Hajj, you can still say this person completed Hajj. Right? But that is, Hajj has a format in the same way. Wudu. Wudu is also ibadah. It's also an ibadah, it's a worship, right? You're rewarded for doing wudu. Now let me tell you something. If I was walking and I seen a clean stream of water, and I jumped into the water, totally immersed myself in the water, came back out, would I be in a state of wudu? I would be in a state of wudu. Why? Because the Quran, which prescribes wudu as an ibadat, it only says 4 fard parts of it. 4 fard parts. And that's washing the faces, the hands up to and including the elbows, masa of the head and the feet, وَأَرْجُلَكُمْ إِلَى الْكَعْبَيْنِ, including the ankles, according to Imam Azam Abu Hanifa rahimahullah ta'ala. As long as these 4 parts get wet, you're in a state of wudu, fard completed, right? Fard completed of this concept of wudu. Obviously the sunnah will give you more reward. I don't say don't do that, but I'm just telling you the technicality here. Same way, I say this. Allah Pak in the Quran Kareem, Allah says, وَرْكَعُوا وَاسْجُدُوا. Allah says, do ruku and wasjudu, sajda karya. Do sajda. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is amre, this is failul amr. This is an order from Allah Almighty. And any al-amr fil wujub. So any order becomes fard. Any order becomes, Allah saying do sujood. Right? He's ordering us to do this. Now in Asr Salah, if I, in the second rakat, and I did sujood, and we do it 2 times, don't we? In every rakat. If I did sujood, sajda, 5 times in the second rakat, because the concept of salah is established, the concept of asr we know, and there's a format to this as well. Is ibadat ke liye, there's a format as well, and that format is 2 sajdas in every rakat, right? But if I do 5 sajdas in the second or the third rakat, is this still ibadat?
No.
It is ibadat because we're still praying to Allah Rabbul Alameen. We will still be rewarded for it. But then somebody can't say I completed Asr Salah. They can't say I did Asr Salah because that's not Asr Salah now, right? Because the format for Asr Salah is stipulated, right? The format is stipulated. If you don't follow that format, that can't be Asr Salah. It's still ibadat, but it's not Asr Salah. Do you understand? So what I'm trying to say to you is certain concepts of certain ibadat, they are in the Quran Kareem, they are established in the understanding of the Sharia. And certain ibadat have very strict format. So you must follow that format if you wish to achieve that ibadat. But then there's some ibadat in Islam where Allah gave the concept in the Quran Kareem. He gave us the concept in the Quran Kareem. This is ibadat. But He didn't necessarily establish a format for it. For example, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran about parents, وَبِالْوَالِدَيْنِ إِحْسَانًا. Do ihsan with your parents, show kindness to your parents. And then look at the various examples we see in Islam, in the history of Islam, of how people honored their parents. Tell me something. Who taught Awais Qarni radiallahu ta'ala and the code of how he should respect his mother? Who told him that threshold? Who told him that benchmark? Where did he take this from? Did Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam say to him, do it like this, Awais Qarni? Did a Sahabi Rasul teach him and say, do it like this, Awais Qarni radiallahu ta'ala? Even though he didn't physically meet Sayyidina Rasul Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam in his life, but for the example's sake, I'm telling you this. Who told him this threshold? Where did he take it from? You buy your mum 5 bouquets of flowers on the way home now and say, Ami Jan, aapke liye. And she gets happy and you did it for the sake of Allah. This is ibadat, right? No one's going to say that's not ibadat. You're going to be rewarded for this. But then where did you take this format from? Where in the Quran and Hadith does it say to do this? So what we're learning here is sometimes there is certain ibadat, but it doesn't strictly have a format. Let me give you another example. Neighbors, everybody knows the rights of neighbors in Islam. And the Sahaba Kareem radiallahu ta'ala anhum, they were amongst the greatest of ulama in the Ummah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. They were the students and shagirs of Rasul Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And do you know, the Sahaba Kareem radiallahu ta'ala, when they heard the rights of the neighbors, they believed that neighbors had so many rights that they actually thought that they were wurasa of their inheritance. They were heirs to their inheritance. That in their will they must write a share for them, for their neighbors. That's how much right they thought that their neighbors had. That's how much right. Who told them this? Who told them that this was the case? Did they find a hadith of the Prophet ﷺ? Did the Prophet ﷺ tell them this instruction? Is this in the Quran Kareem? But no, they thought that they were people who were eligible to a share in their wirasat, in their inheritance. They had to leave something for them when they passed away. In the same way, there was one Sahabi, Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, you know, on an anthill. He used to go and put food on the anthill on a regular basis. And somebody said to him, they said, oh Sahabi Rasul, what do you do? Why do you always put food on this anthill all the time? And he says, don't you know? He goes, these ants are my neighbors. On the day of judgment, I don't want them to have a claim against me that I didn't fulfill their haqq. I didn't fulfill their rights. Look at the psychology of the Sahaba radiallahu ta'ala. Where did he take this from? Quran? Hadith? Did Hazur alayhi salatu wasalam tell him to do this for the anthill? Where did he take this from? So we're seeing that this ibadat, that this Sahabi Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the concept of looking after neighbors and the rights of neighbors is there, but the format isn't always exactly stipulated. It isn't always exactly stipulated. Sometimes you will have different types of format. Let me give you another example. In the time of Hazur alayhi salatu wasalam, the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam had a dream. And it's a long hadith, it's a sahih hadith by the way. The Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam, he said, O Bilal, radiallahu ta'ala, Hazrat Bilal Habshi, radiallahu ta'ala, the prominent Sahabi Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He said, O Bilal, I hear your footsteps in Jannah. O kama qala Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. What great action did Bilal do to cause the sound of his footsteps in Jannah? And don't forget, the dream of a Nabi is wahi, this is law. It's real, it's actual, this is Sharia. This is the shan of a dream, of ru'ya, of a Prophet of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And he said, what, I heard your footsteps in Jannah. Anyway, it was a long hadith, but the conclusion of the hadith, Sayyidina Bilal Habshi radiallahu ta'ala had established that the reason why he heard the footsteps of Bilal radiallahu ta'ala in Jannah, because he used to have this practice. Whenever he would perform wudu ke fauran baad 2 rakat nafal ada karte the. He used to read 2 rakat nafal. And because of this, Allah gave him this maqam and he was in Jannah. He was in Jannah and Hazur alayhi salatu wasalam heard his footsteps in Jannah. Radiallahu ta'ala. Now tell me something. When did Hazur sallallahu alayhi wa sallam ever say in the hadith or anywhere in the Quran that after wudu you should do 2 rakat nafal? Where did it say this? The concept is there because the nafal is ibadah. It's from ibadat. It's worship. It's worship. But the format wasn't stipulated. And there's many such ibadat like this, even existent today, which the format necessarily isn't stipulated, but it doesn't make the format wrong. It doesn't make the format wrong. Last week, I presented dalil from the Quran. Surah Ali Imran, verse 81. that not only is there a license to celebrate Eid Milad Mustafa sallallahu alaihi wasallam, I didn't just give you the permissibility to celebrate the Milad of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. I gave you an example of the Mawlid being celebrated in the Quran Kareem. In the Quran Kareem. Anyway, time is short, inshallah. We can't go into that at this moment. But I would say this to you, in terms of Al-Manhaj, one of the things that they said, prove it from the Quran that you're allowed to celebrate Milad Mustafa sallallahu alaihi wasallam, or hadith, or words of Sahaba. Let me tell you from the Quran Kareem. Allah Pak. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says in the Quran, this is in Surah Yunus, قُلْ بِفَضْلِ اللَّهِ وَبِرَحْمَتِهِ فَبِذَلِكَ فَلْيَفْرَحُوا فَلْيَفْرَحُوا. And then Allah says, هُوَ خَيْرٌ مِمَّا يَجْمَعُونَ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, قُلْ بِفَضْلِ اللَّهِ, from the mercies of Allah, from the bounties of Allah, وَبِرَحْمَتِهِ, and those rahmas that Allah has bestowed upon you, وَبِذَلِكَ فَلْيَفْرَحُوا, and therein let them rejoice. Let them celebrate these rahmas that Allah has given to them. Let them celebrate them. What is the greatest rahmah Allah ever gave to us? तफसीरुल कुरान बिल कुरान. जब किसी आयत की तफसीर करनी हो ना, तो कुरान से करे सबसे अफजल है. अल्लाह पाक से नो कुरान, वमा अरसलनाका इल्ला रहमतल लिल आलमीन. The rahmah of this universe, the greatest form of rahmah is Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Allah sent it in the form of Rasul alayhi salatu wasalam, and He is the rahmah for the entire universe. And then Allah is saying to us, فَبِذَلِكَ فَلْيَفْرَحُوا. And then He says, وَهُوَ خَيْرٌ مِمَّا يَجْمَعُونَ. And He says, this is better than anything you will accumulate. يَجْمَعُونَ, jama'a, يَجْمَعُوا. And ye jama mein siga. So this is fail, mudariya. So it means hal, it means now, and mustaqbil. जो आपने जमा किया है और करते रहेंगे. It's better than everything that you have now, or no matter how much more you will ever gain. To celebrate the mercy of Allah is greater in the eyes of Allah Rabbul Alameen. So Allah, this is a clear deleed. Allah saying, celebrate the mercies that I've given you, and there was none greater mercy than Hazur alayhi salatu. I'm giving you both references here from the Quran Kareem. And then Allah also says in the Quran, وَأَمَّا بِنِعْمَتِكَ رَبِّكَ فَحَدِّثْ. Allah says, bayan karo the ni'mats that I've given you. Talk about them. And you know something? You know, when it comes to Jashne Eid Milad Mustafa sallallahu alaihi wasallam, this is ibadat, right? Remembering the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, reciting qasaid for the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, praising Hazur alayhi salatu wasalam, talking about his seerah Mubarak sallallahu alaihi wasallam. You know, one thing you will find when you speak to the adversary and the mukhalifeen, the people who are against the celebration, from a shari point of view, from a legal point of view, this will iron out many, many problems. You will notice this. From a shari point of view, tell us, what is the problem with Milad Mustafa sallallahu alaihi wasallam? We are sat in the masjid, we're remembering Sirat Mustafa, we're doing qasaids, we're reading the Quran Kareem. From a shari point of view, what is wrong with Milad Mustafa sallallahu alaihi wasallam? There is no errors in proper celebration of Eid Milad Mustafa sallallahu alaihi wasallam. This is in the, this is taken from the Quran Kareem. Then one of the questions that they present, they say, give us daleel that Hazur alayhi salatu wasalam celebrated his own Mawlid and Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That he celebrated his Milad and his coming. Very easy. Very easy. You know, you may confuse people on the streets. Speak to our ulama. They will tell you this. One man came to Hazur alayhi salatu wasalam, Sahih Hadith. And he said, Ya Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, why do you fast on Mondays? Why do you fast every Monday? Hazur alayhi salatu wasalam said, Fihi walittu, I was born on this day. I was born on this day. That's why I fast on Monday, sallallahu alayhi wasallam. They have a problem with us celebrating Mawlid once on the 12th of Rabiul Awwal, or in the month of Rabiul Awwal once a year. Hazur alayhi salatu wasalam marked his weekly calendar. Every week he kept fast on the day of Monday, and this is from Sahih Hadith, because this was the day Rasulullah was born sallallahu alaihi wasallam. This was the day that the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam was born. Now I tell you this, then they say, when did the Sahaba ever do Mawlid al-Nabi? When did the Tabi'een ever teach Mawlid al-Nabi? This fast on Monday, the Sahaba followed this after Hazur alayhi salatu wasalam. They also fasted on Monday because it was Sunnat Mustafa, him celebrating on the day he was born. And then the Tabi'een and the Taba Tabi'een, amongst the Salafus Salihin, and all the pious predecessors and all the great ulama and awliya that came, and the awam in the ummah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, they have held this practice. Even today, people are fasting on Mondays because of Sunnat Mustafa sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And remember what this relates to. And I tell you this, ask the Mukhalifin, they won't be able to answer this question. Even they celebrate Milad Mustafa because they fast on Mondays. And the origin of this, according to Hadith of Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, is this was the day Rasulullah was born. Birthdays of prophets of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, again, this is something which is firmly established. You know the day of Jum'ah. The reason why Yawm al-Jum'ah, this day, which is known as Sayyidul Ayam, the most Azim and Sardar or greatest of all days. Why is it known as so? Somebody asked Hazur alayhi salatu wasalam, Nabi Pak sallallahu alayhi wasallam, he tells us this in Sahih Hadith. He said, this day is great because Adam alayhi salam was born on this day. Adam alayhi salam was born on this day. This is Sahih Hadith I'm giving you. If you don't wish to celebrate birthdays of messengers of Allah, if you don't wish to celebrate them, then don't attend Jummah Salah. Because this is what Hazur alayhi salatu wasalam says. You know, the challenge says, give us answers from Sahih Hadith, from words of Sahaba, from Quran. I'm giving you nothing but. I'm giving you nothing but the daleels are coming from here. And if you wish, and you know, if people still don't accept, because you know, their imams who came before, even they accepted Mawlid and Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Ibn Taymiyyah, he writes in his book, Iqtida Siratul Mustaqim, he said, if you wish to gain the mercy and the rahmah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you must take part in Milad Mustafa sallallahu alayhi wasallam. He is from their ulama. And I said this one day to somebody, I said, apne baap ko na mana sake, humko kya manane aage. First, speak to your scholars. First, convince them. You've got problems in-house. How are you coming to us and telling us Milad Mustafa sallallahu alaihi wasallam isn't permissible? This is absolutely incorrect. And I say this to you, that you know, there's another issue that they raise about food. They say food, oh, you know, when did they ever pray on food? You know the dua for eating food. Bismillah wa ala barakatillah. In the name of Allah, upon this be barakat of Allah. Praying over food. Everyone does it. They do it. You know, if we do it like this, this is still dua. Or if you say Bismillah wa ala barak, this is still dua. And when they finish, they say Allahumma barik lana, Allah bless it for us. It's praying over food. It's exactly the same thing. It's like they say, you can't pray for the deceased in the graveyard. But when they walk into the graveyard, according to Sahih Hadith of Imam Tirmizi, Assalamu alaikum, Ya Ahlul Qabur. As-salam, peace be upon of Allah, peace be upon the people of the graveyard. So they say one thing and they do another thing. But this evidence is all in Sahih Hadith. This is all in Sahih Hadith. Shall I tell you something? To say something is bid'ah, which wasn't around in the time of the Prophet ﷺ, our Sharia isn't so narrow and it isn't so restricted. Let me give you an example. In the time of Rasulullah ﷺ, they used to read Taraweeh Salah, Salatul Taraweeh in Jama'at the way that we do every night in the month of Ramadan? No. In the time of Sayyidina Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiallahu ta'ala, did this happen? No. But today it happens all over the world. No Aqidah, no Firqa, no one rejects this. This is the power of the law of Sharia. Sayyidina Umar radiallahu ta'ala, and he aligned these rows. He set this practice. And he said that this is ni'matul bid'atu hadihi. He says this is a great bid'ah. His Sahih Hadith, and he said this is a beautiful bid'ah. Sayyidina Umar radiallahu ta'ala and says this, and the whole ummah said alhamdulillah. And everyone followed this. Even though those who don't celebrate Milad Mustafa, in the time of Hazur alayhi salatu wasalam, did they used to change the gilaf of the Kaaba every year? In the time of Rasul Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam, did they wash the gilaf of the Kaaba every year? In the time of Hazur, did they have a Quran Sharif in the form of the Mus'haf as we have today? In the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, did they have Arab in the Quran, the Fatah, the Makasra, to help the Ajmis to read? Because in those days they were Arabs, they had no problem reading. But then when the Quran and Islam spread to the neighboring countries, and the Hufaz died from the war with Musaylima bin Kazab, they wrote the Quran in a physical book. They put it together, before it was on pieces of wood and leather. And then they put it into a book. Did anyone say that was bid'ah? Did anyone say these practices are bid'ah? I'll tell you something funny. One man, he said to me, I was talking to him about Milad Mustafa sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he said to me, listen, bhai, he said, I'm not convinced still. Even though I gave him everything, I'm not convinced. He goes, you show me Daleel from Bukhari Sharif. He goes, Milad is bid'ah. Astaghfirullah, na'udhu billah. He says, show me daleel from Bukhari Sharif. You know what I said to him? I said, where was Bukhari in the time of Rasulullah? Where was Imam Bukhari in the time of Rasulullah? Did Rasulullah say that the second most authentic book after the Quran Kareem is Imam Bukhari's book? Did Abu Bakr as-Siddiq, Khalifatul Rasul, say this? Sayyidina Umar, Sayyidina Ali, karamallahu wajhahum. Who said this? Who made it the second most authentic book in Alim Islam? We accept this. We accept Imam Bukhari. But what I'm telling you, Bukhari Sharif wasn't around in the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. This is something that came afterwards. This is something that came afterwards. The point is, our law, as long as things don't go against the Quran, the Sunnah, the Ijma, the Qiyas, they can't be said to be wrong. There are many forms of ibadat that we have today. If you say all things which weren't around in the time of the Prophet ﷺ that are around and accepted now, that would make everyone mubtadis. It would make everybody dukhul finnar, people who will enter the fire. Astaghfirullah, we would be giving that fatwa on great ulama and even the Sahaba, the Tabi'een and the Taba Tabi'een, because they did things which weren't around in the time of Rasulullah salatu wasalam. मैं आखिरी बात करता हूँ. This is a long lecture, I've not even got close to settling my point. लेकिन मैं आखिरी बात करता हूँ. When it comes to bid'ah, there's good bid'ah and bad bid'ah, and this is accepted with our scholars and their scholars. But let me tell you something. When it comes to any other bid'ah, like Bukhari Sharif, something that came, which is a good bid'ah by the way, like Bukhari Sharif, like all these examples I've given you, they have no problem with it. They have no problem with it. Should I tell you when they have a problem? The only time they have a problem is when it's got to do with Shan Mustafa sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That's when they have problem with it. Why? Because they have a disease in their hearts. Fi qulubihim maradun, in their hearts they have a disease, and their Allah increases upon it. And that's why, and I give you this one waqiyah of Imam Ibn Kathir. They accept him, we accept him. And he said Iblis cried 4 occasions in his life. I think this sums up well for the people who have problem with Milad Mustafa sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Iblis, Shaitan, he cried on 4 occasions. He says this in his Al-Bidayah wa Nihaya. He said on the first occasion, he cried when he was cursed by Allah Rabbul Alameen. The second occasion, he cried when he was thrown out from Jannah. And the third occasion, he cried at the Milad of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, at the birth of Hazur alayhi salatu wassalam. And the 4th time when the Fatiha was revealed. Know this. Those people who have those faces on, who cry, who have problem with Jashne, Eid, Milad Mustafa, and the celebration of Mawlid and Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, know that they're from the party of Shaitan. Because this is his practice. Imam Ibn Kathir is telling us this. And if you are happy and you celebrate, then know that you're from the party of Sayyidina Khalifatul Rasul, Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiyallahu ta'ala, and all the Sahaba Rasul and the great companions who came after them. Know this, that this is the case with you. And as a final point, I say this, everybody says, Milad, they say, prove us, Milad, prove us. We've been proving over and over and over again from the Quran and Sunnah and all these sources. You prove to me one hadith where Rasulullah says, don't celebrate my Milad. You give me one ayat in Quran which says, don't celebrate the birth of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It's about time you presented evidence in this respect. May Allah Rabbul Alameen give us the ability to celebrate Miladun Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam in this dunya, in our qabr, and in the akhirah. Wa ma'alayna illa al-balagh wal mubin. Azan ho gaya, sunat ada.